Hi everyone, Mark Kwok here. Today we're talking about something a little different. And we're talking about media because I love television, film. I've talked about this in previous videos. But today I want to talk about what I consider probably the best television show out right now. And that is Succession. Succession just finished its third season, and I'm not gonna spoil anything in this video because you gotta watch it and it's just that good. But I do want to talk about some reasons why I do think this is the best television show out right now. So I have 5 reasons why it's the best television show, but I do want to also talk about one gripe I have with the show as well. So number 1 is the absolutely masterful writing of this show. This show is written so cleverly. Like, one-liners are incredible, but also the story arc of characters is also incredible. And so whoever's in this writing room for this particular show, they deserve all the awards they can get. I'm talking levels of writing like Breaking Bad. I do just think ultimately it's about the intelligence of the writers. Like, they really know how to convey things in simple ways, in grotesque ways, in funny ways, and ultimately there's like this really nice arc that occurs for all the characters, but it's happening in a way that you really can digest and understand. Now, second, what would good writing be without great acting? And honestly, I think these are some of the best actors I have seen on television, particularly the main lead, Logan Roy, played by Brian Cox. I mean, it is a powerhouse of an acting masterclass. Unbelievable some of the things that he's doing and evoking amazing emotions out of me and the rest of the characters. I would say that the kind of standout acting, I would say, comes from 2 specific people. It's got to be Logan Roy, like I just said, the main character Brian Cox. Kendall Roy, who's played by Jeremy Strong, also just gives like an all-timer performance. I mean, not to say the others don't. I'd say that the main cast is probably one of the best ensembles I've ever seen. I mean, like, each one of them, if the writing is strong, the acting can often be strong. And so this marriage of acting and writing is just what makes it fantastic. The third thing I think is, this one's a little bit more involved, but I do honestly think there's something about the show that delves into the human psyche in a way that I think a lot of shows don't. I think Breaking Bad was very similar in this way, where you can understand all the terrible things that are happening in the show because there's something deep down inside you that just understands every level of the human condition or behavior. For example, some of the ironies in life or the moral dilemmas that you must go through in life and the realities of society and wealth and power and relationships, like all these themes are really poked into. And even if some of the things that the characters are doing is despicable, which oftentimes it is. I mean, we're talking about a family here who's super rich and doing a lot of bad for the country and has a lot of power and uses and wields that power in negative ways. Even if that's the case, like, we understand so much of what's going through each person's head. Like, for example, one of the popular characters in this is Cousin Greg, played by Nicholas Braun. He is kind of supposed to be the audience surrogate as like this fish out of water, like trying to figure out what's going on in this like world of wealth and power. But he also really starts to, over time, and no spoilers here, but he really starts to kind of become part of that too, and like becomes prey to all the negative trappings and the bad things that happen as a result of being rich or powerful. Another example of this is Tom. When Tom is talking to Greg, who's kind of below him, he turns into one type of human. And then when he's talking to Logan, who's above him in a lot of ways, he turns into another character. And we can relate to this in some ways. And there's like there's ironies and complexities and so much depth to all this stuff that just is around the human behavior. It does a good job of representing that and then giving us a better taste of what it's like to be a human. We all know these things deep inside, but to see it so well written and on screen, I think it's fantastic. Third, the production value of this series is out of control. The places they go, the views they see, the yachts they're on, the buildings they're in, the castles they're in, the green rolling hills that they're around, all these things are just incredible for the eyes. There is not one single episode, I think, here that isn't visually spectacular. Like, whether it's the cinematography or whether it's the lighting or whether it's the ambiance and the set design, it is just done in a way that like really lives up to the wealth that these people have. And lastly, this one's also a little bit more involved, but I would say that I love this show because it is very self-aware. I'll tell you what I mean. For example, you'll notice that there are other races other than whites that are in the show, but they're generally quite supporting, and what happens to them is they all kind of get screwed. In season 3, there's a lawyer. She's black, a woman, and she's this kind of powerhouse. She's supposed to be incredible, but she just gets tossed to the side in some ways. That sort of thing happens to the Asian characters, to the black characters, to maids and stuff that are usually Latino. Like you see that. At first you might think, what the heck, lack of representation on the camera here. But on the flip side, you understand that this is intentional. There's like a self-awareness behind the camera here, understanding what happens to diversity in a world like this. And that makes me appreciate it all the more. I think The Wire from HBO is another one that like was just self-aware beyond its time. And like it kind of understood how that community dealt with things and what Baltimore police was like and so on. So I think Succession does another great job with that. And so again, amazing, amazing, amazing. It's crazy because season 1 was incredible. Season 2, I think, was better than season 1. And the finales on all 3 of these seasons have been just ridiculous. Now, I did say there was one gripe I did have with the show, and that is that I think all of the characters are quite despicable. There can be a trapping with that where at some point you dislike a character so much that you can't really feel for them, even in the moments that you're supposed to feel for them. So a good example is, one of the most hated characters I think just generally in the show is Siobhan Roy. She's the daughter. Kind of you can see her motives for a lot of things and you realize, this is not a good person. And it's become so bad that like you really want to root against her on everything. And so in that case, the nuance starts to kind of go away. I do think there are some scenes in the series that really try to like get you to feel for them, but it just doesn't work at some point because you've gone too far. So one small gripe, we'll see if these writers are smarter than I am for sure. So we'll see if they can kind of climb out of that for a couple of these things, but that is just one quick thing I wanted to say. So there it is, Succession, one of my favorite shows. It just ended season 3. I can't wait till season 4 already. And yeah, one of my favorite things. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mark Kwok. I'll see you guys on the next one.